Stand clear.
100% Wild podcast. So for all you listeners, hello and welcome to definitely not your favorite outdoor podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DruryOutdoors 100% Wild podcast powered by DeerCast and fresh off of SHOT Show.
That's right. Tim and I were roommates. That's Tim Chelsvik. You're one part of this co-host duo.
And you're Matt Drury.
And you know what? Nobody did anything crazy in Vegas at SHOT Show.
That we know of.
Well, you were asleep every time I got to the room. So
as a responsible adult
that's
should
right.
be.
Well, at one point, Tim texted me at like 2:30 the last night. He was like, "Are you okay?"
I just finished my knitting and I realized Matt's still not in yet. So I put my socks down. I'm knitting some socks. And I texted you.
Yeah, I only regretted it at 7 a.m. when I woke up for my flight.
Yeah, because you had an earlier flight than I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's
yeah, went to bed at 3, up at 7, had to pack all my stuff. And I tell you what, I had a layover in Phoenix. That first flight to Phoenix, which is a short one, I thought I wasn't going to make it. It's like the cold sweats, like I totally regretted the night before.
Yeah.
So,
but
anyways.
SHOT Show was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of great people, a lot of great products, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, we should do a whole different podcast on that and all the cool stuff that was out there.
That's a good idea.
But in the meantime,
yeah, we got Ed Hammersmith here from Vail Products. Ed, how are you doing?
Doing great.
It's great to have you on. I know Mark got us turned on to Vail. How many years ago has it been now?
Ed would know better than I. We were talking just beforehand here. It's
probably, I don't know, a couple years.
3-4 years, I would think.
Maybe 3. Yeah, time flies, right?
Yeah.
Mark doesn't really have time for things that don't work.
Yeah.
No, and he's a firm believer in this product line.
Work.
Yeah, that too.
So if Mark has adopted a piece of equipment, like in my book, that's a pretty strong endorsement.
Well, and so we'll dive into this a little bit for those that may not know what your product line is or what you offer, but it's all related to the land management side of what we do and skid steer attachments. And for Mark, I mean, Wade, Perry, those guys, that's right up their alley. I think the hunting is almost secondary. They spend, the majority of the year working on their farms and doing the land management. And I know they all love, the X-Mulcher and all that stuff. Yeah. So I guess before we dive too far into like specific products and, you could always tell that we're at this point of the season, the deer season's over for the majority of the country. Of course, there's still some of those southern states that are rolling, but everybody turns instantly into a couple things, or most everybody. It's land management. How can I improve my property? How can I, shed hunting and all that stuff, like those items, but then turkey season after that. So I felt like timing was perfect to have you come in and let's go through some of the land management stuff. But I'd like to kind of hear your story and how you guys got started before we dive into the land management side.
Yeah. Well, Hammersmith Manufacturing was started in 1964. So our model was always to be a real high-end production shop. We dealt with how we dealt with people, I guess should say. We're just going to be really involved with everything they do. So a couple of those customers we still have around today that we helped start in like the 70s. And
what kind of products were you manufacturing?
Well, I mean, they went through a lot of stuff through ag and, but in industrial cranes, we build a lot of rail car movers, big moving equipment.
Big equipment.
Yeah. So, like some of those rail car movers, one of those rolls off the line at over 80,000 pounds.
Holy
just one product. So we, in 13, we started doing a lot of research on developing a new line of our own. The interest was my brother and I both had farms and stuff. We had bought some competitors' equipment and it just fell apart. We're like, gosh. We can build a 40,000 pound weldment that won't fall apart. Surely we can build a mower that doesn't fall apart.
Yeah.
So, we just started with that, and then people are like, what you ought to do? You ought to sell those, and then you build the next thing and the next thing. And, and it kind of taken off. And, I guess our niche is that we're more like-minded with the outdoor people because, we're small town, family business, that type. So, dealing with the Drurys and Lukoskis and Lindsays of the world and stuff, those guys are more like us. But the caution I've thrown to all those guys, like once you have this stuff, it changes the way you hunt. You'll no longer just be sitting in a blind or tree stand and just sitting there waiting for deer or playing on your phone.
Yeah.
Your phone work will be taking pictures like, if I just remove those 2 trees.
It starts with 2 trees and it ends
if I just do this, like there's a great stand tree right there. If I turn this food plot, I just angle a little bit off to the right, I can use that. I can use that tree over there. I can build a blockade behind that where the deer can't get behind me, or you just start playing games in your mind where you're sitting in a blind or a stand, and it changes the way you hunt.
Sure.
It'll forever change you.
So, your equipment, you have several different types of implements, right? Attachments that you can add to a skid steer.
Right.
And so you're talking about not just like the X mulcher where you could just totally mow down trees, but it's also like picking up big logs and moving. That's where you're kind of talking about the structure, and that speaks to the food plot architecture that Mark and Terry love so much. Really kind of pushing deer, funneling deer to your advantage to a certain direction, right?
Yeah, I think we got into it. We thought, we can build anything. So the initial thought was to build everything from bale spears to forks. Then we realized but our mind is locked into land management. That's what we enjoy. That's what we like. That's what we can relate to. So let's just stay on the land management sector and only build attachments that would be considered just land management tools. So we start with a mower and a grapple and a tree saw. Then we went to like the X mulcher, a disc mulcher, and now we have drum mulchers, and now we have mowers for mini excavators and large excavators, and land planes for leveling the ground. And Mark likes to use on his driveway. It's a smooth driveway now. But yeah, you just, they're all tools that I would consider you could have them all, and you could use every single one of them to help manage your farm and stuff. So that's what we've just tried to stay in.
So, when you get into this type of stuff, it's not for the faint of heart. Like it's an expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
But as you and I were talking about it, I mean, just owning your own skid steer is expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It shocks me how many people have skid steers because they're really expensive. But a lot of times you see it that they're guys that it's multi-use farm, and they might be a construction guy, they might be doing land management, outsourcing it to other people like myself that need the help. So I mean, it's once you get into that, then you have to start getting into the attachments, and they're not cheap either. No. But as you were telling me, off air, you guys build things that last. Like it's probably a detriment to your to your own
it's
sales.
Not a great business model for repair parts.
But once you build something like that, I can appreciate that from a consumer standpoint. It's like, hey, once I buy it, I don't want it to break. Right. I want it, especially if it's going to cost a pretty penny, I want it to last. Right. And that's kind of the quality side that I guarantee you is why the Marks of the world and the Lindsays and the Crush, like those guys, like they expect quality items. You can go on any one of their farms and they're all meticulous. Right. So I think that's why you guys have all gravitated towards each other, because it works, it's quality. Mm-hmm. And once you kind of put your name on it, and promote it, you can trust that it's going to do right by the consumer.
That's right.
It seems like I love watching those gold rush shows where they're up in Alaska doing all the mining and stuff. And even when Scott comes back from working on some of your pieces, Matt, the limiting factor to success is always like how many breakdowns.
Oh yeah, equipment failure.
Yeah. did you have to figure out? Did it completely stop your day? And so like invest on the front end, in quality equipment, and you reduce that bottleneck there. It's just more about your time then.
So what is it about your product that makes the quality? Is it the type of steel you use? Is it the welds? What is it that all the above?
Yeah, it's all the above. Yes. We start with engineering, which we maybe did it a little different than a lot of people did it. We started from the inside out, and we made sure that our drives, our motors, our bearings, our blades, that stuff was the absolute best you could get your hands on. We didn't go cheap to save the money on that. So, and then of course, we're really good at steel fabrication. That's our history. So we knew we could do that. We could develop products, take vibration out. We knew we had the know-how and the engineering behind us to do that part, but combining the two, it just makes it a more expensive product by over designing, over building. None of our stuff would be considered lightweight. Everything is like pushing the weight limits. Like we push the envelope just a little bit, just to make sure that when somebody sees one of our stuff, they're like kick it and like, that is heavy. Yeah. That's that feel that we want everybody to have. So.
I think I always we have another partner, Paul Hollis we used to be RTP Outdoors. It's now PH Outdoors, but he builds, like drills and those types of things for food plots, and his stuff's super heavy duty. It's very similar to what you're talking about. Really well manufactured. It's expensive, but it's heavy duty stuff that's not going to break on you. And now you have to really think through like transferring it to this property or that property. And I'm sure you're in the same boat, but if somebody's taking a skid steer, they already figured that problem out anyways.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to haul them too awful far, but we do kind of have a, like a beginner's package that was this. If you just have this, you can do pretty much everything that you want to do. If you add these 2 or 3 more items, well, like if you've got
sky's the limit.
If you've got 500 or 1,000 acres or whatever, then there's really no reason to squeeze it down to 3. Go ahead and spend the money and because there's some more efficient ways to do different things. So, even I do a lot of testing. I test every product that we have.
It's you on the farm, right? Just enjoying your life.
Right. No, it's like, you can't tell
Mark
people
and Terry test hunting out every day.
You can't tell people that.
Scratch that.
Yeah. But anyway, you do go out there and you play around with some of that stuff, and you figure out, like, I've built some food plots and done some work intentionally, not the most efficient way. I just want to know if you can do it. So like, I might go do a plot with just a tree saw and a grapple, and I might clear, 1 or 2 acres just to see how long it'll take me to do it. And then the next time I might do, just my disc mulcher and a grapple to clean it up, or maybe it'll be just a mower and the grapple to clean it up. So I use different combinations, just trying to figure out like, which way might be, manageable for somebody to get into. So then I can answer those questions. Somebody's like, well, what do I really need? Well, let me see your farm.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want to accomplish, and I'll try to help you with the most financially feasible way to do it.
So you spoke to it. There's kind of a beginner's, area. What, in your opinion, what's the must have for a beginner getting into it? They have the skid steer, but all they got's a bucket on it right now.
Yeah. Well, the grapple's the biggest. It's the cleanup piece. Mulching in some capacity, whether it's with our heavy duty brush mower, and it's got some mulching blades built into it where it reprocesses and stuff. That's the most inexpensive way. So if you just had that and just the grapple, you can do an awful lot. I don't know, maybe my favorite is our tree saw. It has a rotating head that rotates 180 degrees. You can cut trees down. It's got a spray tank and a nozzle on it. You pull, you cut a hedge tree down, you got to kill it, right?
Yeah.
So pull up there, hit the button on your joystick.
That's cool.
Yeah. Shoots the tordon on it, kills it.
Pretty slick.
Yeah. And then you come back with, I'll part the tree up. I'll cut it in like 3 sections or take the tops, and I want to use those to build long brush piles or blockades.
Yeah.
Which maybe we get into that, but I think that's done wonders for my turkey population. I mean, I have hundreds of turkeys now. But I think instead of just building single brush piles, I use them as deflection tools, like to kind of funnel animals the way I want them to go.
Yeah.
But all that stuff's just, it's a big game in your mind that you play and stuff. But
do you think there's a mistake that people can make? Like, can they overdo it, or can they, it get a little too involved there and just start cutting down everything? And
well, I think the biggest thing, like for Mark, as an example, when he sits in a blind, that the wheels are constantly turning. So he's figuring out where the deer typically are coming from, and then figure out why are they coming from there. And then like, you can't just block that off. Now you can funnel them in some ways, or you can do some things, but I think you can get too carried away. And, I know there's a lot of guys that are like building tall fences and different things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too much, but I think you can create natural pinch points. But first things first, spend the time in a stand or your blind, watch the movement, and then fine tune it.
Yeah.
Just tweak it a little bit where, like, I have 2 of them that the plots are maybe 60 yards wide, but where they go into the ag field, they're only 35. And then that's where my stands and my blinds are tucked in, and, with trees around them and stuff like that. But you're just naturally funneling them without pinching them down to a 10-yard. Like, it's just a very gradual pinch-ins.
Yeah.
But those are the type of things that's like, talking to Mark, that he's now in tune with the really fine tuning of that stuff and not get too carried away.
Yeah. I could see where it'd be addicting, and you're just like, all right, we're going to do a path here to this, and we're going to do a path over there. We're going to cut in a food plot over in this timber.
And then when season rolls around and you see it working, like, that's even more positive feedback to kind of keep you going.
Yeah. But you don't want to overdo it, like we're saying, because you could have deer spreading out to a bunch of different directions, or you know what I mean? You could kind of be hurting your own cause.
Well, my joke is like, every action you have has a reaction, right? So when you make a change, I don't go 100%. I have like a 3-part plan in my mind. I'll do the first part, but now I just want to sit and watch it for a year. How did it change them? Did they stop using another food plot because this one's closer to their bedding or whatever? Start figuring some of those things out. Like, okay, now I know what they like, what they're doing. Now I'm going to, double the size of this plot without getting too crazy and stuff. So you just kind of figure things out. But I think that's the fun part. I've told all those guys, once you have it, it ruins the just hunting part.
Well, we've ruined that a long time ago. It hadn't been just hunting in about 25 years for the guys. I don't think
it'll change you.
Yeah, I could see that. So, kind of graduating into the next step, a guy that might have a 500 acres, 1,000 acres, whatever, so that's a little, bigger property or a little more serious about it. What's the kind of next step up on the land management side as far as the equipment you guys have to help that person out?
Well, then I would suggest, guys get into the bigger loaders, the most powerful ones of whatever brand it is you like, but take that step up, just go big, go bad. You can get into drum mulchers. I know T-Bone just got one like this last week. He traded his disc in. He's like, well, he's got a lot in the pines and stuff.
Yeah.
He needs to control the debris and stuff like that. So he switched up.
Before you go any further, what's the drum mulcher do? Like, what is it?
Well, it'll shred stuff up. I don't know. shred a 24-inch hardwood in a matter of 10 minutes.
Jeez.
It just be a pile of wood chips. Good and bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you don't want a bunch of wood chips either, because I think to best of my knowledge, it adds a lot of acid, you know, properties and stuff. So you need to get that off. Sometimes it's better just to cut the tree down, leave the stump, spray it, kill it, cut the tree up, use your grapple, get it off there. But now guys can go, you know, from like a disc into drums. Like I said, the tree saws are magnificent, because my farmers think I'm the best landowner there is, because my field edges are always trimmed. If I get dead trees along the edge, get those things down before they fall in the field.
And gotta go out and test the product again.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm always like, I try to do it every year, go around the whole, you know, all the crop edges, get those trees out. Hedge trees and locust trees are a nuisance to farmers and stuff. So I try to get those cut back into the timber a bit and you know, saw them and spray them. And then I just part the tops off, and I'll build brush lines even within the timber, you know, for the turkeys along the edges, so the turkeys can nest in them and stuff. And you can go, when you're driving the field edges and stuff in the you know, May and stuff, you'll see the hens running out and stuff like that. But I don't know. I have kind of a philosophy on using hedge and locust trees for nesting areas. I don't think coyotes necessarily like it
there. Yeah.
when they're really, really thick, but the birds seem to just burrow in and stuff. I'm not saying that, you know, your raccoons and stuff like that can't get in there, but yeah, I think it does cut down on the.
I could see that. A little extra protection.
Yeah, fighting chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. That's just my philosophy, but you know, when I first bought it, there was probably 20, and now there's probably 150 of them there. So it made some difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a nice bonus of doing the land management work, is so maybe you're managing for whitetails and turkeys, but you know, we had Chris Duncan on a couple weeks back, and he was talking about how he's seeing pheasants on his ground now because he's doing the habitat work, and people are seeing quail in areas where they just hadn't seen them in years and years.
Yeah.
So you're starting to bring the habitat back to what it should be.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
same,
awesome.
same. We've got, you know, 2 coveys of quail now that didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, 8 years ago.
Yeah. So. Which is crazy, you know, 30, 40 years ago. Yes. But not in the last 20. No, you know, so.
Yeah. People are just getting more and more savvy about the land. Good land equals good deer and good turkey.
Well, I think there's a lot of programs too. And Chris Duncan was talking about that, like government programs. Even we shit on the government all you want, but like there's actually a lot of programs that you can participate in where they help, you know, share the cost for you and the burden.
Yeah,
and
same way in Missouri.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of education out there that you can go get, whether it's on YouTube or places like DeerCast and articles or whatever. There's an abundance of places where you can kind of educate yourself, the Grant Woods of the world, you know, and figure out, okay, I got this piece of property and I don't really know what to do with it, but you know, here's some things that other people are doing that I think I can implement and make a difference.
Yep. No, I'm totally on board with that.
Well,
get better.
It seems like Ed, with what you're doing, we know with our buddy Paul Hollis over at PH Outdoors, it's nice to get equipment from people who are doing the same thing. So it's not like, hey, you're going to buy this piece of equipment. Good luck figuring out how to work it and how to like build a strategy around it. You guys know what you're doing. You know why people are picking these things up. So there's probably a different level of support than if you just to go to a major manufacturer and pick up.
Yeah, you think about it, like we say often with DeerCast, it's purpose built for the deer hunter because we have the deer hunter in mind with these features. Well, with your product line, that's kind of the land management. Like you're not a hobbyist, like you have this expertise in manufacturing that you brought to the table because you wanted to marry it with what was your hobby. It's like, all right, we can do this better. You've used you use the competitors back in the day. It's like, oh, this can be done better. We know how to make it better. So you did it. And I think that's the American ingenuity that, we've all benefited from in a billion different ways. Like, the hunting industry is just one area, but it's all industries. It's like, it was somebody that had a passion for this in their spare time that probably brought a skill set from a different industry into the fold, and it benefited a lot of us, It
just makes it easier. Yeah. When you're working with people that are like-minded, and I said where we came from and our roots, and, it's just easier. I can go to an outdoor show, which I think, like, we're one of the few companies that still do stuff like that through the outdoor industry. So we'll be like Iowa and Indiana,
the Deer Classics,
Deer Classic, and we'll be at the NWTF this year. First time. It's taken a long time to get in.
Yeah, that's a big show.
But we'll be there just because
fun consumer show.
Yeah, just because it's just, you can,
those are your people.
You can be there and you can talk to them and just enjoy the conversations and there's absolutely no pressure, on our part. We're there just to enjoy the experience with people and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, and being around the consumer and the customer, whether they're your customer yet or not, you have an understanding for the need of that section of people. It's like, all right, everybody's coming up and asking about this product line, or we need to do that. And then it's like, all right, it makes sense. Let's dive into it. So I think that's helpful.
You end up going down a kind of a rabbit hole too.
Sure.
Like you get suckered into some other things. Like I started building deer feeders that hold almost 4,000 pounds of food. It's just, and now I built some.
It sounds like a Texas thing.
Now I built some. I've never sold one Texas. Now I build some ladder stands and stuff. I'm like, I'm not selling them, but like friends of them are like latching on to them and stuff because they're just like super sturdy. Like there's nothing cheap about them or easy about them. They're really, really solid and stuff. But like I said, we just keep getting suckered into things like, hey, you know what you should do?
That can be dangerous. You go going off a tangent that may not be proper.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to make a living at that stuff, but it's fun that, some of our partners and stuff, you can give them something else that's of high quality they can use. And it's like, hey, we do it because they enjoy it.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
Do you have a retailer network? Are you direct to consumer? How do people?
No, we don't do anything direct. It's all through our construction dealers, Cat, Bobcat, John Deere, Kubota, Takahauchi, New Holland, Geel. I'm sure I'll miss somebody, but all the major brands. We just use their dealerships and stuff like that. So
we were talking about it off air, like a Side and Stricker Nobi, kind of in the Missouri, Illinois area. They're a big dealer. So those types of places, right?
Yep. Yeah. All of them. Talking about hundreds of them.
So can someone go to your website and find more info of where like a local dealer would be, or what's the best way to find out?
The best way is just to email in from the website. There's links there to the salespeople, and then we try to funnel them to a certain region so we know who that salesman is, and then he can get them hooked up with the right dealers and stuff. Depends on their brand, and the biggest thing is, pick a brand that you can get the best service from. Who's going to take care of you.
Yeah, it goes beyond the sale.
Well, so anything we're missing on the land management side, or what should people be thinking about right now? It's like I said, we're just out of deer season for a lot of folks, and now's the time where you can start implementing a lot of your plans before spring green up and all that good stuff. So what are you doing on your place right now?
Well, right now, first things first, get all those field edges. I get all those trimmed up. I use it as a time to scout, look for your rub lines and stuff like that. Get off the loader, get my map and track me, and I'll follow some trails and stuff like that, find rub lines. And I use that time when I'm on the loader moving through the property. I use that time to try to study and try to figure some things out. That's, to me right now, before, like, at least on my farm, they don't shed till like end of March. They're really late there. So
I typically, my places are the same way, but this year I've seen more shed early for whatever reason.
Maybe the cold, or
maybe the cold snap.
The stress.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. So say you're walking your property, you find a rub line, like in your mind, then how do you relate that to what you want to do to that? I know it's dependent on each property and how the lay of the land is, but what would you take that and do with it?
Well, yeah, overlay like my trails and overlay that on like a Google map or something like that. And then I go back on it and I take 1,000 pictures. I'm crazy. But then I try to figure out like, is there anything I could do here? Like I have one area in particular, I added one green plot that bumped right up against a crop field. It's probably only 1/4 of an acre, but it's got one of their favorite scrape trees on the whole farm. And it's right on the edge of the crop field and the green patch. But I noticed that they started coming in from the west of it just a little bit, and they started tracking through there. I'm like, okay, I found a couple chinkapin oaks in there, and like, which on my farm are rare. I'm like, okay, so I need to go in there and get some of those hedge trees and locust trees out, clear that out. And then I might be able to just extend this green plot and make it about 3/4 of an acre there where they're funneling in, and I can block a little bit over here. Like I take one thing, I lay it on a map, and I just start looking to see, is there something else I can tune this up just a little bit more? It's not, it might take me a day, but just go in and just tinker with a little bit and see if I can add a little more food. And it just seems like as my population just continues to explode, you got to start adding more and more food, and either that or kill a bunch more of them. So.
Yeah.
So try to kind of go further into the bedding, further into where they're coming from, and
I think
and convince them to kind of come out a little sooner.
Yeah, if you for me, it's like, what are they using? Like what trails are their main ones coming in? Of course, this time of year they're just mud, right? Because they're so heavily traveled to the food sources and stuff. So figure some of those things out, find stand trees, and see if there's anything I can do without, messing it up. So, I was afraid to cut a tree down the first year. I'm like, gosh, well, they come back. I only have 1 million of them.
Yeah.
Right. So, it makes you think just a little bit. I'm a little bit more into turkey hunting now. Like I don't do a lot of it, but I've got guys that love to come turkey hunt, and they're like, what you could do? If you could get some of this timber area, kind of open this up a little bit for us, and maybe do a little more burning in there, then in the spring we might have a really good place to shoot a turkey. So
I'm sure the equipment that you have, the attachments are very helpful for prescribed burns and that type of stuff, like just setting your fire lanes and all that.
I generally take one of the mulchers or the mower, and I'll create my burn edges and stuff, and then start back burning and stuff. So. Yeah. I started burning a lot more the last 2 years. Like one of my big projects is to just go in and totally redo the sanctuary, and just kind of see if I can get more grasses in there and stuff, and maybe get a little more forbs growing for them to browse on and stuff. Right now, it's just a bunch of junk trees that aren't doing any good. So. But it's fun. So.
Tim, it'd be helpful if you had one of these on your with that farm that you had to go in and hand cut everything.
We've all done it.
Yeah. And as I get older, I realize I have less time, just in life in general. And so I'm more and more leaning on like my buddy Tony that has equipment to come in, and like the hand, like the power tools, the hand saws, that's going away. I need to be as efficient as I can with my time. It's safer too.
Well, that's that was the initial sell point, for somebody like Lee, who is just, the man doesn't have a stop to him. But it's how you can get the work done in a fraction of the time, because he has so much he's trying to do. And Mark's kind of the same way. He's never standing still, right?
No.
It's always going.
Yep.
So, maximize your time, and you start putting dollars and cents to it, and it starts to make more sense just to get stuff, spend a little more money up front to cut your time.
Pays for it in the long run.
To cut 75% of your time out, because we've all done the pole saws, and we still own them, right? But cutting that time down, like like I'll be going through there in a couple of weeks. When I got the saw on, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna trim a couple of those limbs off there so I can get my blind in and out.
Well, even you talking about having that part of the implement where it squirts the Torton on it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like, now you don't have to get out and spray each one later or whatever. It's a small thing, but it's a time saver.
Yeah, none of the hack and squirt stuff. Just cut them down, spray it, and kill them.
If anybody has not seen, one of these videos on social media before from Lakoski's or T-Bone or the Lindsays or us, you should go Google it, because they are really, it's like one of those kind of videos that suck you in and you just watch them.
And you keep watching.
Yeah, like the X-Mulcher for sure.
Well, we just started linking those too on our website to where all of our partners and stuff that, we enjoy a great relationship with. We're reposting links to all to those YouTube videos where they're using our equipment to do their thing. There's actually a section now in our website. They go there, they can watch any of those. I don't know how many there are now, but they have our own series for the Love of the Land series, and then Mark stuff's in there, Lee stuff's in there. Anybody who gets it on YouTube, we're just plugging all those in now, so you can go watch them, and they are addictive. They are.
It's like just to see how they freaking just take some of those, like, not small trees either. Like, what's the size of that X-Mulcher? Like, how big of a tree can that take down?
I've cut 30-inch trees down.
I mean, that's ridiculous. That it can do that. It's just crazy.
Oh, just for the fun of it, one time I cut down a dead locust tree, and if you've been around those, they're just hard as a rock.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I wonder how long it'll take me to mulch this thing up. So we just set a camera up. I went in to cut it down, and I mulched it, went around there. So I'd finished up and stop. It took me like 11 minutes to do a locust tree. It's probably 24 or 26 inches.
Jeez.
And a dead one. So
it's concrete.
Nasty. Oh yeah. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Like
that is fun.
I played around with stuff like that just to know what it can do. And I've probably done a lot of things you're not supposed to do with them, but I'm the test dummy.
You gotta test
I'm the test dummy. So, I mean, we got a lot of fun stuff. Like how hard it is to pull fence posts out, like that. So we just have some prototypes out for tree pullers that you can go ahead and pinch on clamp, pull them out. You can pull old hedge posts out.
Nice.
Still got to get out and roll that wire up. You can pull out
that part.
Yeah, I started playing around with it about a year ago, and you can pull 6-8 inch hedge trees out of the ground, just pull them right out of the ground. So
it makes life easy, but it's fun to do while you're doing it.
It is.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming in and kind of giving us the lowdown on it all. Like I said, it's on everybody's mind. That's whether you lease or own or whatever the case may be. It's that time of year where everybody's like, all right, on to deer season 24 now. Now's the time to start putting in the work.
Yeah, everybody's getting busy now. If it just gets a little bit of dry or frozen, like last week it was still frozen, so I spent a day and stuff. Now I got to wait till it dries off a little bit. So.
Yeah, it's going to be messy today. I think it's getting into the low 50s after all that nasty, rainy kind of frozen weather. It's going to be sloppy. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, let's jump into the wildlife word. It's brought to you by Cold Steel, the strongest and sharpest knives for hunters, military, law enforcement, and EMS professionals. Make Cold Steel your EDC.
Is that everyday carry?
It is. Huh. There you go.
Look at me.
I carry the verdict every day. It's a little folder.
So you're judge, jury, and verdict all in one. Like, I'm gonna cut.
Not the executioner, but I will render a verdict.
Okay.
Usually the verdict is this needs cutting.
Easy, Tim.
Okay. Research shows that whitetail bucks reach their maximum antler potential at what age? Is it 3 years old, 4, 5, or 6?
What do you think, Ed?
I'm going to go with 6.
That's what I would go with, 6.
Ding, ding, ding. You're right. 6. Perfect. And, obviously there are individual cases and nutritional.
Sometimes they go backwards, Tim.
Sometimes they do. You thinking about Titan?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting I've seen like so many comments. I killed a deer on the last day of the season. It's a deer that we've known for sorry, Tim, that we've known for 3 years. The first year we were on this lease, we felt like he was 4.5. And he may have been 5.5. I didn't have the history, so I didn't know. But he took a big step backwards this past deer season. But we had that terrible drought, and I had a couple deer that took a step backwards. And anyways, so the hunt, the deer season 23 episodes up on YouTube and DeerCast, and I've had several comments where people are like, that's not a 6.5-year-old deer. You're doing a disservice to the Drury name. That's a 3.5-year-old. Well, yeah, yes, I know, but it's just like, why would I lie about that? The deer can go backwards. A lot of times you hear Mark and Terry say that, they take a step back at 5 and they blow at 6, and they can do that. But that was not the case. And I think it was just all the drought conditions that we had.
Back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Drought. I mean, mine, I didn't have any of them that looked like they grew at all in the last 2 years. It's just like they might add a point, but there's no mass.
No
to
mass.
them.
That's what I noticed. The
biggest.
biggest.
Even my taxidermist, went and looked at some of his, and he's like, I have like 2 deer that actually have really nice mass this year, but they're all more spindly and stuff. But
that was the surprising part about Terry's big deer this year, because even on his farm, like every deer took a step back, it seemed like, and that deer just blew, and it was mass and stickers. And it's just their DNA. It's just so interesting to me that you can have a deer that's in the same environment as all the rest, and something different catapulted him 30 inches or 20 or whatever it was.
Sure.
So yeah. Interesting.
Okay. We got some new Rack Pack members.
All right. So Ed, this is a real treat for you to be a part of. So we got a private Facebook group. That's just the Drury Outdoors Rack Pack. And it's a group of people, basically they're hoodlums and vagabonds and
I mean, like us.
That's right. And listeners of this here show. And so every week Tim gives me a list of new names. Every week I read them and butcher their names, but every week there's a fake one somewhere in the midst.
Oh boy.
All right. So we got Keaton Dune. We got Nacho Belgrande, which I assume would be the fake name, Tim.
Sounds ethnic.
You're getting lazy.
I mean,
Nacho Belgrande.
That sounds like a deer.
That's right. I wish I had a Nacho Belgrande deer.
Apologize to Mr. Belgrande.
Okay. We got Travis Nebel, Mitchell Harris, Ethan McCarty, James Robertson.
That's fake.
Chad Klein, Carl Compton, Zach Chalupa. Also seems like a taco scenario.
You might have to use it on a deer sometime.
That's right.
Chalupa.
So I'm going with Nacho Belgrande is the fake this week.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. Now you've been a part of all the shenanigans.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah. I just think this is Drury Outdoors promotes this podcast. Well, not well, but
Kinda.
We're under the umbrella.
Did Mark and Terry actually watch it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. No, only if they're on it, and they only watch it as they're filming it.
Yes.
No, I think they prefer to have an arm's distance approach to this podcast.
It was this past summer, we had Mark and Terry here in studio, both of them, same place, same time, which is a rarity. But each one was sitting below one of the lights out here.
Yeah. Judging us as we.
I think Terry dozed off.
He did, which isn't, that's pretty much what he's done his whole life. He's just a dozer. Every hunt I've ever been on with him, he dozed.
Yeah.
But he woke up at the end. We had all the farm guys. So Wade and Perry and Forrest were on with us. And he woke up at the very end of it, and he had some choice words as he walked off the set, Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah, even we couldn't let that hit air.
Yeah, we had to bleep Terry's.
Thanks, Terry.
But he slept through it. I don't know that he could even pay attention. And it was one of the most popular podcasts of the entire year was that podcast with the farm guys. So suck it, Terry.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you, give me opportunity and stuff. It's been fun.
No, we enjoy having in studio guests. So thanks for making the trek to St. Peter's, and we appreciate it. Look forward to seeing more videos. Like Wade and those guys just use the hell out of it. So look forward to every time they do a new lead. It's like, hey, we picked up this 60-acre parcel, and instantly they go to work on how they can improve it and make it better. They get the Vail going. So yeah, Yeah, we'll make sure and B-roll this episode with a bunch of those videos. Like I said, they're addicting to watch.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, let's shut this thing down. Apologies for no show last week. I know a lot of people were bummed out.
Yeah.
Just could not squeeze it in.
If we were better people, we would have filmed one while we were at SHOT Show, but we're not. So we missed a week. We'll make up for it. I promise. Till next time.
See ya.
Peace out.
DeerCast is now supercharged with maps. Get ahead of your game with killer new features like live Doppler radar, wind check out to 5 days, virtual rain gauges, GPS path tracking, and more. Plus, get our 14-day revolutionary DeerCast prediction and access to DeerCast Track. Prep, predict, and pursue with DeerCast.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by DeerCast. Prep, predict, and pursue your target buck.